right? So in this Selenium training, we will be giving 50% of the time to Java WebDriver, TestNG, Grid, and all those things, and 50% of the times we'll see a project, we'll do a framework. Okay, right. So out here, um, just 1 minute. Somebody is not able to hear me. I'm not sure. Okay, so out here, yeah. What do you mean by a framework? What do you mean by a project? I'll come over to it. Okay, can you provide me with some kind of live project? This is a very common question which people ask me. Okay, I cannot just jump over to a project. I cannot just jump over to teaching you in a very practical manner. I cannot do that because there are lots of concepts required. Okay, this is the link. I'll share the link with you. Okay, this is the link for, I'll give you the link. Just 1 minute. This is the link for the same training course, okay, which I just discussed with you, right? So, all right, fine. Now, let us start with the training. Okay, before I start with the introduction and all everything, today is the first day, right? Day one, day two means the first hour. So today we'll probably cover these many things because it's a weekend batch. Okay, 2 hours on Saturdays, 2 hours on Sundays approximately. So before I start, anybody with any questions? Anyone? Please feel free to ask questions. Okay, don't think that what I will say or what people will think. If you have any
So
questions, you can.
once you, hi,
Hello?
are you able to? Hi, are you able to listen?
Yes.
Yeah. So when we can start the project? Once you tell us when we
After around
which
15 hours of training.
okay.
Anybody else with any question? Okay, right. So look, everybody, most of the people are interested in project. Most of the people are interested in a framework. Okay, what is a framework? What is the objective of this course? The objective of this course is to learn how to build a framework. Okay, right, and that's the most trickiest part. Okay, now what happens is that I'll just give you a brief background that what we are going to achieve. When you work in a company, okay, you are given test cases. Okay, as an automation tester, where I've never heard an automation tester writing test cases. We are always given stabilized applications wherein we have to automate existing scenarios, right? And we end up making few automation scripts with Selenium. Suppose these are my automation scripts, test cases, right? And what we do is that we have to run them in a particular serial order, okay, or sometimes you have to run them parallelly as well in one go using parallel Selenium grid or something, right? And what happens is that sometimes you have a requirement that you have to skip few test cases, you have to run selective test cases. Okay, right. Apart from this, you have a requirement that your data should be read from an external file, an XLS file or an XML file or a properties file. Okay. Apart from this, you have a requirement that you should be able to generate good reports. Okay, that whenever the test cases are running, automated HTML reports should be getting generated. All right. Then you have to uh, actually generate logs in the reports. You have to put screenshots of the errors in the reports. Okay, right? So this is what is is required, or this is what is expected when you are automating, right? Apart from this, you might have to integrate the whole thing with Jenkins, okay, Selenium GRID. So we'll see all of these as well, right? Now, if you talk about Selenium as a tool, the functionalities which are there in Selenium, okay, then Selenium as a tool is only in this green box. Okay, Selenium can only make scripts. With Selenium, you can only interact with the browser and automate everything. But you cannot do all these things on the left hand side. So for that, we have a centralized controller. Okay, this centralized controller is known as TestNG, or it is also known as JUnit. Okay, or it is also sometimes people also use Cucumber BDD, right? So there are various things available in the market. Fine, in this training primarily I'll be focusing on TestNG, right? If you want to learn JUnit or Cucumber and all, they are there inside the pre-recorded videos. If you look at this page over here, I'll just show you in some time. Okay, now what they do is that they will help you to, read data from files, generate reports, call the respective test cases in the certain order, okay, generate logs, put reports in the screenshot. So everything it does, right? This TestNG or JUnit or Cucumber. So this is known as a framework. Okay, and there are various types of frameworks. There are various techniques of building a framework, like hybrid framework is there, data driven, page object model, right? So in this training, I will take up any one of the framework and I will explain it in very detailed fashion. Right, if you want to learn all the frameworks, look, it's not possible for anyone, including me, to teach in depth all the frameworks in just one training session. I'll be covering one of the frameworks, and for the remaining ones, you can refer the video tutorials. Okay, if you look at the videos, then the videos from video number 18 to video number 23, they are all on frameworks. Okay, page object model with page factory, and they are like they are very huge in size as well. Over 8-10 hours of videos are there, each one. Okay, so um, this is about what we are going to accomplish in the course. All right, fine. Now talking about Selenium as a tool, how it evolved over a period of time, what are the advantages you will get by learning this tool, and where is it going. Look, I'm not just directly jumping over to the topic. Okay, I'm just giving you some basic knowledge which is required at your level right now because you just started to learn. All right, now if you talk about Selenium, then when it came in the market initially, right, in I worked on it for the first time in 2007. Okay, and it had three components then. One was IDE, one was known as Selenium RC, and the other one was GRID. Okay, now IDE is rather a tool which is only IDE is sorry, just a minute. IDE is a tool which is primarily working on Mozilla. Okay, it will only work on Mozilla browser. Okay, it will not work on any other browser. So this is one of the major disadvantages of IDE, that it only works on Mozilla. Many of you might have seen it, and it will generate no reports. If you are having 1000 test cases, you cannot automate it in IDE. IDE is primarily a record and run tool. And record and run functionality is there in almost all the automation testing tools, but it's not a very good feature to use. because you cannot just record everything. Okay, so that's why we had Selenium RC. Selenium RC could work on all the major browsers, right? You could generate reports with it. Okay, and you could make dynamic scripts. What do you mean by dynamic scripts? I'll tell you in coming days, you'll come to know. Okay, right. And Selenium GRID was something, or rather, it is something. It's still there. It's used to run the scripts parallelly. You can make a single machine, and with that single machine, you can connect multiple machines. Okay, this single machine is known as a hub. With the hub, you can connect multiple nodes and you can run the scripts parallelly. The only advantage is that it can help you save time. When you have got huge number of test cases, you use grid. Okay, now RC, Selenium RC was also known as Selenium 1.0. Okay, and it had a lot of drawbacks. Like for example, there used to be a server in Selenium RC which we used to start, and sometimes the server never used to get started. Okay, so we had to end up resorting to like used to restart your PC or log off from the system and log in again. So it used to give problems, and there are many other issues as well. Okay, so that is why in somewhere around August 2011, Selenium WebDriver came into the market. WebDriver is also known as Selenium 2.0. It had all those features like it could work on browsers, generate reports, dynamic scripts, everything. Right. Only thing is that it was completely different from RC. You don't need to learn Selenium RC if you want to learn WebDriver. Okay. IDE is still there and Grid is also still there. Now lately in the market, Selenium 3.0 has come up, 3.x, but it is unstable. It's got a lot of problems right now. I will show you the problems during the training. If you go to the, hold on just a minute. If you go to the official website of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org, right? And the first line on this website is Selenium automates browsers. It's an automation testing tool which is only used for web-based applications, right? If you go to the download section over here, the second tab, fine, you will see that the latest version of Selenium is 3.2, right? It just came up last year in August or November, right? And if you look at the change log, this change log will give you the information of everything which has changed in Selenium since Selenium 2.1 came up. Okay, way back around 5-6 years back. Okay, right. Now in this, if you look at it carefully, there was a version known as 2.53. This was the final release for Selenium 2 and it was the most stable release. Okay, it had least number of defects and everything was working fine. After that, they came up with 3.x in the beta version, and this version 3 has been giving lot of issues. Okay, they have been fixing lot of bugs and all everything. Okay, right. See that Firefox is only supported at version 47 right now. They are not supporting the latest version. Like gradually they might have done that, but there were various drawbacks. Okay, and which they are still updating. Fine. Right. So in this training, we'll see which version we can use, but there is not much difference. If you use the stable version, which is 2.53 versus 3.2 or 3.3, it's not a big difference. As a learner, you can use anything. Okay. Right. Now, moving ahead. How do you start with Selenium? Look, to start with Selenium, you have to know Java. You have to be very comfortable with Java, the concepts of object-oriented programming. Okay, because if you look at this link, this is the link Java doc. This is the official documentation of Selenium. Okay, if you click on this link, then you have got all the classes and all everything. You'll not be able to understand it if you don't understand OOPS. That is object oriented programming. Fine. Okay, so let us start with it. The first thing is, um, I talked about the course FAQs. I gave you a brief introduction of Selenium and the future of Selenium. Okay, future is good. If you learn this tool, it's going to be there in the market. And moreover, if you learn this tool and later on if you have to learn other tools, like you have to learn Appium, which is for mobile automation. Okay, or if you want to learn a tool like QTP or UFT, you call it UFT these days, then if you want to learn say SOAP UI for web services automation, or if you want to learn JMeter or Load Runner, which is for load testing, then learning all these tools, it really becomes easy if you learn Selenium, because the reason behind it, you get a knack of programming language, you learn Java, and when you have that Java background a little bit behind your head, then all these tools, it will be easy for you to learn. And these have a lot of demand in the market. You must be knowing that, right? Okay, fine. So let's start with it. The first thing is you have to install JDK, okay, which is Java Development Kit. Without it, your Eclipse might not work. Few people were complaining that their Eclipse is not working. Maybe you don't have JDK installed. Okay, go to Google and type download JDK and go to the first link and click on this link, download, and you can accept the agreement and download it for your operating system. This is for 64-bit window, this is for 32-bit, for Mac OS you can install it, right? Then you have to download Eclipse. Okay, this is the first link, download Eclipse. Okay, Eclipse is the editor for Java language. Fine, you click on this link and go to the next page, and Eclipse Neon, it is showing you can download it, or you can download anything. I personally prefer to work on Luna because I have been working in 6 years, so I download Eclipse Luna. You can download any Eclipse, it really doesn't matter. Okay, you can download Eclipse. You can, then after downloading you need to extract the zip file, and after extracting the zip file you will see that you get a folder like this. Okay, right, and you open the folder, you will have Eclipse application file, which is the exe file. You double click on it and Eclipse will start. So many of you might be knowing these things, but I'm still teaching you because there are people with little background out here. Okay, right, now I will uh, name this is the workspace path, the path where you will be storing all the code. Okay, I'll call it Selenium Weekend 2017. So this is the location where we will be storing the complete code which is being made in this training. This is known as the workspace path. Okay, and let Eclipse open. Hold on, it's taking time. So it's a very simple thing, or it's a very simple tool to learn. The only thing is people, they complicate it the way they want to learn, because you know, just because they ignore Java. Okay, I've seen people saying that fine, I did Java 2 years back, or I did a course so I can learn. It's not like that. You have to be good at it. Fine. So this is the main screen for Eclipse, and out here this is the project explorer where we'll be keeping the projects and all everything. So what you need to do is that you need to go to file, new, go to other. Okay, and under other you will see the option. If you scroll down under Java, you will see the option Java project. Okay, click on next and create a Java project day one. Fine. And so once you create it, you will get a screen like this. Say yes, and you will see the project over here. If you expand it, you will see the source folder. This is the folder where we will be keeping all the code and all which we'll be making in in this project. And this is the GRE system library. This is nothing but Java which was installed on your system. Okay, this is GRE system library. If you right click on the project, you will see a lot of properties over here, lot of things. You can use the properties option in the end, and you can, you'll see a lot of things. You can go to Java build path, and we'll be using all of them. Just this is just an overview which I'm giving you, that we will be using a lot of things over here. Moreover, the properties option will be very important. Okay, right. GRE system library is Java which was installed on your system, the JDK. Okay, if you right click on this project, if you go to the properties, under resource, you will see the path of this project on the hard drive. Okay, right. So if you copy this path and if you go to this path, right, you will see a lot of things under day one project. Okay, this is the day one project, and under it you will see a lot of things, out of which only the source folder will be visible to you. Okay, inside Eclipse you will be only seeing the source folder. Right, in this source folder we'll be making Java files. Right, now if I right click on the source folder, I'll get the option to create a new class. Right, I'll create the new class and I'll call it, say, first program. This is the first Java program. Okay, select this checkbox, public static void main, and you'll have the file generated. Okay, let me increase the font size. Just a minute. Um, Colors and fonts. Yeah, text font. Right. So just 1 minute. Terminal font. Okay, it's under basic. Right. Under basic, you go to text font and increase the font size. Right. And what you can do is that this is the main function. Right. Every programming language has a main function. In C, C++ also main function used to be there. This is the class. This is the scope of the class, the opening bracket and the closing bracket. Whatever we write inside the class. What is public, what is static. Okay, it will come to you when I start with the object oriented programming. I cannot just tell you everything in one go. Okay, right. So out here, I'm assuming you know what basics of programming are. You know what an integer is, what a string is. Everything is there in every programming language. Okay, you know what a for loop is, what a if statement is, what a function is. Right. If you don't know these things, if you are kind of person who has never done programming, okay, then I would recommend you not to join this training directly. Okay, go to our site. Okay, go to your site and go to Selenium Training, and you will see the modules. You can buy the access to the videos, and later on you can join the training. right? Okay, you can pay the difference amount and you can join the training, right? Okay, so out here, right? uh, what we will be concentrating on, OOPS, object oriented programming. Fine. Okay, I'll start over with that in some time, right? Basically, in Java there's one command, system.out.println. This is used to print something, right? If you want to print hello, right, and if you want to run this code, you need to write system.out.println, and this is the button on the top to run the program. You can click on this and this will execute the program and it will print hello. You can also right click on the Java file and you can run it as a Java application, right? Okay, now moving ahead, right, this is a plain Java program. If you right click on this project and go to the properties of the project, and under the resource you will see the path of this project. Okay, if you look at this path and if you copy the path of the project and go to the physical location on your hard drive, you will be able to see the source folder out here. The first program Java file will be inside it. Okay, and inside the bin folder you will have something known as the class file. Okay, if you open it, you'll not be able to understand it. Okay, right. Every Java file is converted to a class file at compilation. Okay, it is every Java file is converted to class file. This class file is like an executable file. You can deploy this class file on any operating system. Like I've made this on Windows. I can put this on a Linux machine. I can put this on a Mac machine or any operating system, and this can be executed. How do you execute it? I'm not coming over to that point right now. Okay, but yes, this file can be executed, right? And this is like an exe file. When the client asks us, we give him this. Generally, we deploy this file on the client server or something. Okay, right. Every Java file is converted to a class file. If I just create a new class over here, okay, and I just call it basics.java, and inside it I just print system.out.println learning Selenium, right? And when I run this code, it will have the class file corresponding to basics.java. Basics.class file will also be there. Okay, so what happens is that when we work practically, we have lot of class files generated with us. Okay, and when the developers say that they are deploying on the server and all, so all these basically in the end these class files they get deployed on the servers. Okay, if we have to give these class files to the client, right, then we bundle all these class files together in a single file. This single file is known as a jar file. Okay, it's like a zip file for all the class files. We put all the class files together in a jar file and we can give it to the client, right? For example, when you install Java on your machine, okay, this is nothing but JRE system library or Java which is there on your machine. Okay, if you expand this will have lot of jar files in it. These jar files are given by people, by the Java developers, whosoever developed Java, they gave us these jar files. And each jar file has lot of, you see that? You can expand and see, lot of class files. These are inbuilt features of Java which you can use from these classes. For example, if I type over here system.out.println, say new date, okay, and I will import this. Don't worry what I am doing, don't think what new is, why am I importing. Okay, just I am using the date class over here, which is present in one of these jar files. Okay, and when I run this, see, it prints the current date. So I never had to write the logic to calculate the current date, time zone, year, everything. It is giving you everything very precisely. So it's an inbuilt feature which I have used. And that's what we do in Selenium. There is no rocket science, there is no innovation. Okay, everything is inbuilt. You have to know about these inbuilt commands. You have to get the knowledge of these inbuilt commands. In Selenium also, this is the thing. Whosoever made Selenium, okay, gave us the jar files for Selenium. You have to import those jars inside Eclipse. If you go to the official website of Selenium, which is seleniumhq.org, if you go over here and if you go to the download section, you will see the latest version 3.2.0. You can download it from here. Okay, once you download it and extract it, you will have a folder like this. Say, in this you will have this jar file. This is the main jar file for Selenium, and under the library folder you will have the other jar files. Okay, so these are the jar files for Selenium. These jar files are given by the people who made Selenium, and these jars, they have lot of classes in them which we need to learn about in this course. Okay, so what you need to do is that you need to import these jars inside this project, and then only this project will be Selenium enabled. Okay, so how do you import these jars and how do you make the project Selenium enabled? You right click on this, you go to the properties, right, and go to Java build path. Okay, third option from the top. You will see lot of, you will see a lot of tabs over here, 4 tabs. Go to the libraries tab. Okay, right, and you click on add external jars, right, and you go to the location where you had downloaded the jar file, like I had downloaded it over here. Import this jar file, open, put this over here. Apart from that, don't forget to import all the jars from the lib folder. Okay, so import all the jars. Once you do this, you will see a reference libraries section generated over here, under which you will see all the jars. If you don't see the reference library section, then you are not in the Java perspective in Eclipse. Okay, in Eclipse you click on, you click on this icon over here. Okay, and you will get a window like this. From this window, switch to the Java perspective. Right, so these are the jar files of Selenium. Many commands are inbuilt inside it, which we will be using. Right, now the question arises, which version of Selenium can we use in this training? As I told you earlier, the version 2.53 was the most stable one. The current version 3.2 is latest, but it's got defects in it. I will show you in the training that what all are the defects, what all are the problems with 3.2. I cannot just directly show it to you on the first day itself. Okay, so what I would recommend is we use 2.53 and gradually I will show you 3.2 defects as well, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, right, because The commands are same in both the versions. Almost all the commands are same. There's hardly any difference. As a beginner, you cannot even make out the difference. Okay, right. So what I'll do is that I'll go to the project properties and I will remove all these jars except this GRE system library. I'll remove all the jars and I'll add the jars for the stable version, which is 2.53. This is the main jar file and the others are in the lib folder. Okay, so in this course we'll look at both Selenium 3.2 as well as 2.53. Right. So our project is now Selenium enabled. We can use the commands of Selenium. For example, if I just write over here new Firefox driver, okay, and if I run the program, you will see that a blank Firefox browser will open up. Okay, if I just use the command new Firefox driver. So how do you learn the commands? Okay, how do you learn the commands of Selenium? What do you do? To do that, you have to refer the documentation. You have to refer the Java docs, and to refer the Java docs, you need to know object oriented programming. And that's what I'm coming over to right now. That what is the concept of OOPS, object oriented programming, interfaces, and all in Selenium. Then we can actually look into in depth into drivers of Selenium, how Selenium works, and all that stuff. Okay, right. So let's discuss OOPS. Before I discuss OOPS, anyone with any questions? Anybody with any questions?
Hi, Ashish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we use other, like we created a Java project,
Mhm.
so instead of that, if we use any other option, what difference will it make?
Look, we need to make a Java project over here because a simple Java project you cannot just make anything else. Okay, in other you can go to Java and under Java you will see Java project. Okay, so that's what is required right now. Other options are there, but they are not as powerful as this option. Okay.
Okay. So is it like Selenium supports some other languages, and if we create a general project, like there is a project option also.
It
So
will
if I
give you
use it,
again. It will
then
ask you to create a Java project.
okay,
Okay. If I go to
okay,
file new project, it will again ask me to create a Java. Okay.
okay,
All these EJBs, Java JE, this is not required actually. A simple Java project will be enough. Okay.
okay. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else with any question? Right. So I'll make a new project or we'll continue with this project only. We'll see the concept of object oriented programming. What do you mean by oops? I'll create a new class over here and I'll call that class as say phone. Okay. Now I'm teaching you oops. Listen to this carefully. Right. Now what are the features inside a phone? Okay, phone has some say name. Phone has a cost. So I did not make any main function in this file. I cannot run this file. In earlier programs, you are making the main function. Main function is required to run the Java program. In this file, I have not created the main function. I have just created a phone class with two variables. Alright. Now, I'll just create a new class known as say user. A user who's say using the phone. This is having the main class, main function, and this class out here will be executed. It can be executed because it's got the main function. Alright, fine. So I'll tell you after the class how you can download the version 2.53. Okay, I'll tell you. Just remind me. So out here, this is the main function. What I'm going to do is that right now I'm going to create object of phone class. How do you create? You write over here new phone. So what happens when you create the object of a class? Okay, I'll show you with the help of a diagram. When you create the object of a class, then in the memory, the object is created and in it two properties will come up, name and price. Okay, these two properties will be present inside the object. I can create as many objects as I want. I can create 3 objects out here. So in the memory, right, 3 objects will be created. Every object will have a name and a price. A name and a price. But you cannot access these objects. To access these objects, you need object references. I need to write like this: phone P1 equals to new phone, phone P2 equals to new phone, phone P3 equals to new phone. P1, P2, P3 are the objects are the object references. Object is different and object reference is different. Please note this point. With P1, P2 and P3 you can change the state of the object. What happens is that P1 points here, P2 points here, and P3 it points here. With P1, P2 and P3 you can access the objects and you can change the state. You can write over here, say P1 dot name is A, okay, and P1 dot cost is say 100. Similarly P2 dot, you'll get the options, name and cost options you will get. Name is B and P2 dot cost is 200. P3 dot name is C and P3 dot cost is 300. So you can give every phone a name and a cost. So every phone over here will have this will be A, this will be B, this will be C. Okay, right, and you can print them. P1 dot name system dot out dot println P1 dot name, P2 dot name, P3 dot name, right, and when you run the program it will print the names A, B and C. Pretty simple and pretty straightforward, right? But if you look at the phone class, it's just got two variables. By creating multiple objects of this class, I can give each object a different value. Okay, right. I can give each object a different value. So that is the advantage. Right. Okay. So guys, let's do one thing. Right. So as I was saying, out here by creating multiple objects of the phone class, you can give each object a different state or a different value, right? Now, here comes the difference. As I told you, object is different and object reference is different. If I write P2 equals to P3, then this means that in the memory, P2 will not point here. P2 will start pointing to the location where P3 was pointing. One object can have multiple references. Okay, and now, hold on just a minute. So I'll just draw again. P2 will be removed and P2 will start pointing towards the place where P3 was pointing. Now if I write over here the same thing, so P2 and P3 will give me the same output, which is C. See, first it is printing A, B and C, but out here for P2.name and for P3.name it is printing the same value because P2, P3 they point towards the same object. This is required in Selenium at times. I cannot tell you right away how it is required, but you should be knowing it. Right. Now if any one of them changes the state of the object, if I write P2 dot name is Z, so what will happen? In the memory, this will be removed, C will be gone, and P2 will end up writing the name as Z. Okay, so if on the next line, if I write the same thing, P1.name, P2.name and P3.name, if I run the same thing, this time it will print Z for both P2 and P3. Any one reference has changed the state of the object, but the other reference will get the updated state back. So this is the difference. The objects don't change. The objects will stay there in the memory. The references can be pointed from one object to another object. On the next line, I can also write over here P3 equals to P1. Okay, so this will point to A. If I just print this thing, P1 and P3 will print A over here. Okay, right. So this is about creating the object. You can create the object of a class and you can have references to the objects and you can move around the references. Now, technically these two variables are known as non-static global variable. The other one is also known as non-static global variable. Okay, right, the first one, both of them are non-static global. Now what do you mean by static? Right, suppose I create a variable known as say int say battery. Now all the phones they have one batteries, right? If I write over here P1 dot battery equals to 1, and I'll write over here P2 dot battery is 1, and I'll write over here P3 dot battery is 1. Now, this is a little weird thing. I know that all the phones will have the same number of batteries. Okay, right, if I write over here battery 1, battery 1 and battery 1. So this doesn't make any sense, right? So what we do is that we make this variable static. If you write static over here, that means technically it will be removed from the object. Okay, it will be removed from the object, and static variable will go at some common location in the memory, which will be common for all the objects. Okay, all the objects can access this memory location, right? Okay, so that is what static is. So this becomes my static variable. If you go back to the program, you will see a yellow line, a warning out here. This warning basically means that battery is static. You don't have to access it with the object like this. Static members of the class, they can be accessed directly with the name of the class. You can write phone dot, you will get the option battery equals to 1. That means whichever object of phone class you create, the battery will always be 1 for every object. Static members, they can directly be called with the name of the class. But for non-static, you have to create the object. Over here, I am creating 3 objects. Okay, right? Similarly, you can have functions in a class. For example, public void call. This is a function. This is a non-static function. Inside it, I can write calling plus the name of the phone. Okay, calling from and the name of the phone. So because it is non-static, it will be the part of every object. Okay, if I write over here, hold on, p1 dot call, okay, p2 dot call and p3 dot call, and if I run this code, this will print calling from A, Z and A, because P1 and P3, they were pointing towards the same object, right? Okay, right. So each object will have its own call function, and when you call it, it will print the name, corresponding name of that object, right? But if I have a function like this, public void print battery, okay, I can make this function static. Static means that I can call this function without creating the object. I can print inside it total batteries are equal to the battery. So this is my static function. I can call this function without creating the object of the class. I can write over here phone dot, you will get both the static members, battery variable as well as the print battery function. Okay, so when you run this code, it will print total battery is 1. So for non-static functions and variables, you need to create the object and the object references. For static ones, you can directly call them by the name of the class. This is the simplest way in which I can explain you static and non-static. And this is what is required in Selenium. Okay, in Selenium you have got drivers. You have got drivers for every browser, and we create the objects of those drivers. Okay, for example, I'll just create a new class over here known as Selenium drivers. Okay, in Selenium we have got driver classes. Like there is a class known as Firefox driver. If you create the object of Firefox driver class, and I'm giving it the reference fd, and if I run this command will simply open a blank Firefox. If you want to control this Firefox, then you can use the non-static functions inside the Firefox driver class. These are the non-static functions inside the Firefox driver class. We will study them. Okay, we'll see what these are. Right. So Firefox driver dot get. Go to the URL http say yahoo.com. So this will open a blank Firefox and it will take you to Yahoo website. Right. Similarly, there are other drivers. Okay, if you look at the documentation of Selenium, right, if you scroll down, okay, you will get something known as WebDriver written over here. You click on that and these are the driver classes in Selenium. For every browser you have a driver like Chrome driver. Okay, this is for running on Chrome. You create the object of Chrome driver. Look, in Eclipse there's a shortcut. If you just like write CHR and hit Control space bar of the keyboard, you will have the names of all the classes which will be starting from CHR word. So if you keep on typing, it will keep on filtering it and you can select it. You don't need to type everything. Okay, if you create the object of Chrome driver and you run the code, it will give you an error in case of Chrome driver, because in case of Chrome driver what you need to do is from the Selenium website you need to download an exe file. Okay, go under the download tab and you will see the Google Chrome driver link over here. You click on this and download the Chrome driver. This is the 2.27 version. Okay, for Windows 64-bit or 32-bit you can use this one. For Mac Linux you can use this one. I have kept and downloaded on my PC over here. This is my Chrome driver exe. Okay, right, and you need to write over here. You don't need to execute that exe. You need to write this command system.set_property. You need to set a system property webdriver.chrome.driver. You need to write this command. Webdriver.chrome.driver has to be in the lower case. Okay, right, fdrive drivers and chrome driver.exe. You need to write like this. System is an inbuilt class and set property is a static function inside it. That's why you are able to call it directly with the class name. Okay, and you need to give the webdriver.chrome.driver and path to chrome driver exe. And if I run this code now, it will open Chrome and I can write chrome driver.get to the website yahoo.com. So this will open Chrome and it will take you to yahoo.com. Okay, right. Similarly, you have the driver for I. Fine. So if you write out here Internet Explorer driver I equals to new Internet Explorer. This is the I driver. For this driver also you have to download an exe. Okay, right, the Internet driver server which is on the top. Okay, and 32-bit I or 64-bit I, you need to download this exe. I have kept it over here, iDriver server exe. Don't run it. Okay, you need to write the similar command, that is system.setProperty WebDriver.i.driver. So you have to create the objects of these driver classes. Alright, and you have to work with these objects. Right, and I can write over here iDriver reference takes me to Yahoo. So when I run this code, it will open up IE and minus I8. It will take me to Yahoo, and I got some error. Hold on, let me run it again. Hold on. Yeah, see that Yahoo opens in IE. Right, now there are other drivers as well, but they are unstable. Okay, if you go to the javadoc location, you have, hold on, you have got this WebDriver. Look, every time you don't need to go to javadocs, you can import the javadocs in Eclipse. I'll tell you how you can do that. When you click on this javadoc link, the next page opens up. Copy the URL. Okay, go to Eclipse. Because we'll be referring javadocs a lot, we cannot just go to Selenium website every time. You can import them in Eclipse. Okay, you can right click on the project, go to the properties of the project, and these are the jars. Go to the main jar file, which is Selenium Java 2.53, expand it, click on javadoc location and paste the URL. Remove index.html from the end, click on OK and click on OK. I am recording this class, we'll get the recording. You can look at the recording as well if you have forgotten it. Don't worry. So javadocs are imported now. If I move my mouse over Internet Explorer driver, it will give me the description of this driver. Okay, if I write iDriver dot, I get the functions. If I click on the function names, I'll get the description of the function names. Okay, if I click on any one of the links in the description, this will open the javadoc inside Eclipse. You can move yourself to frames view, okay, which is this one, and this can open up inside Eclipse. So this will be used a lot in the learning process. It helps a lot because you can just move your mouse over things and you can see what they are and how they help you. Okay, so in Selenium you have got, if you scroll down, you will have WebDriver and you have all these driver classes. Edge driver is unstable. Even Opera driver and Safari driver, they are unstable. They don't work properly. Okay, remote WebDriver will be used in case of Selenium GRID. When you have to run the test cases parallelly, we use remote WebDriver. So majorly these three browsers are there, and for that we use these drivers. Now the question arises that if we have got different drivers, we create the objects of different drivers. Every driver is going to have its own set of functions. Will we be requiring to learn these functions for every every driver? Okay, right? If I have to say there's a text field, I have to write some value in that text field in Firefox, then in Chrome, and then in IE. Will I have to write a separate code? Okay, so the answer for that question comes up from the concept of interfaces. Constructors I'll be covering up. I have kept them in red. In day 5 I'll tell you about constructors. Okay, so right now tomorrow I'll cover interfaces. I'll stop here for today. Today was the first day and we have covered the first 2 days. It's more than enough. Okay, you will get the recordings in email. Okay, so I'll stop for time being. I'll stop the recording as well.